Hello, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the instant reaction. Sadly, it's another defeat for Leicester City as we lose 2-0 to Arsenal. I think the scoreline maybe flatters Arsenal a little bit. It was a much closer game. Mikel Merino comes off the bench to score 2 times for them in the last 10 minutes. Here we go then, 2-0. So here's how the stats were for the game when it ended. Let me come to the boys. I think there's going to be a lot of comments here, probably some emotional ones. I'll start where I always start. My brother down under. Luke, what did you make of a 2-0 loss at home to Arsenal?
Really gut-wrenching. Disappointing. Like a very lots of constructive things we can say about the team. You know, really a lot of positive signs. But at the end of the day, we need points. And I know we didn't expect him against Arsenal, but yeah, probably a lot of us feeling hard done by with the 80-minute performance we put in.
Absolutely. I'll come to you, Duck. What did you make of the game?
I thought we played well. I thought we had a good game. Some clinicalness from Mikel Merino and a few mistakes. Pretty much just those two mistakes really that allowed the goals, right? I thought many of the players on the pitch played a good game. I thought those that didn't play a good game played a mediocre game. And there are obviously things to improve, but it's something that we've said about 2 months ago now, right? A foundation to build something on. I agree with Luke. We need to get points on the board, but I'm just as much as anybody tired of good performances but bad results, and obviously that needs to change. But I do also think it's embarrassing seeing some of the fans going out there talking like we've put in a performance bad enough to start World War III. But I thought we put in a good performance. I genuinely think, and I'm tired of saying it, but it is the case. We put in a good performance.
Manny, how about you? What did you make of the game?
I agree with Doug today. Thought we played well. Thought the difference in the game was 2 brilliant bits of delivery from either wing, and Ranieri got a lovely little cross for Merino for the first, and Trossard, lovely cross for the second. And that was the difference. We got into similar areas as them. We had similar crossing opportunities. But at the top end, we were just lacking something today. Otherwise, we played really well, I thought. A very level game.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I feel that, like, look, you're playing against a team who are second in the league. You know, it's always going to be difficult. Guys, I was just going to say, I've just put a link in the chat. You can put your own match ratings in. So we'll give you another sort of 2 to 3 minutes to give your ratings. We've even got a rating for the referee today, which will be an interesting one to sort of say. Yeah, we were going against superior opposition. I think there are some fair comments in chat, though. Look, no goals in 5 home Premier League games in a row. And look at our XG there. Basically, other than that Ndidi chance, what did we really create? Some kind of frustrations. But I think defensively, we were very sound. We were a bit unlucky. We basically really caused Arteta a lot of problems. I think you have to give him a lot of credit. The change he made is he brought on Mikel Merino as the false 9, moved Trossard out to the left-hand side. All of a sudden, Raheem Sterling, who had been awful the whole game and been pocketed by both our fullbacks, they created something. I think the second one maybe makes the result look a bit kind of, you know, not fortunate for Arsenal, but, you know, in the flattering maybe for them, because I'm not really sure that was a 2-0 game, but fair enough, they had the quality where it counted. And, you know, fair enough, I can see lots here saying the problem is that we played really well, and last is problem we don't play that well versus lesser teams. I think a lot of people would agree with you. And yeah, a lot of people say it's because we have no players to break on the counter. I mean, definitely the sort of slowness in attack, I think definitely does cost you. So look, let's talk about maybe the lineup. I'll come to you, Manny. So this is the team that we went for. I think you were happy to see Okoli. What did you make of the lineup today? Do you think Ruud got it right with his tactics and his lineup for this game?
Tactics was right. Lineup still a couple of question marks. Same old story, the 2 wingers. Apart from that, I like everything else on that pitch. Even Moyo, when he came on, fine. But Okoli, we played higher. We caught them offside a lot of times in the first half. Booba was getting a bit higher, and Ndidi was an absolute monster today. Standard Ndidi monster performance these days. 2 games in, he was absolutely superb, and it was close. We had a half sniff with a cross from Ayew. You know, there was no clear chances, but there weren't any clear chances for either team until they scored their first goal. Then, yeah, heads dropped, and we said the second one's probably coming soon as well. But I thought Ruud actually set the team up fine. What can you do if you don't have better options on your bench or other choices? Maybe we could discuss Mavididi, Buonanotte. I'm sure we'll get into those, but I thought Ruud did fine. There's not much we can do. We're playing against Arsenal.
I mean, here's an interesting comment. I'm sure a lot of people feel like this from Thunder Fox. Good performance, yes, but no goals, no wins, just a good performance. Well done, yawn. Which I do get. But what I would say is compare this to the previous game we played against Arsenal, where we basically got absolutely battered for 90 minutes. Now, we did score 2 goals in that game, very much against the run of play that we got them. And again, they had to wait until the 90th minute to score. But if you compare it to that, where Mads had to make, you know, hundreds of saves, I'm not sure how many saves he made today, but it was a lot less. And we were solid. We were in the game all the way up to the 80th minute, but we just couldn't do it. Yeah, well, it will come to Victor Christensen in a minute. I'm going to give that to Duck. Absolutely, I know what the rating is. Yeah, good performance, FC. Look, I do agree with that, but I've always said this, that me as a fan, of course, you want the results to go your way, but I think at the end of the day, if the team plays well, that's all you can really ask for, and they kind of do put a good effort in. Tactics are all right, but not sure other players could execute. How about you, Duck? What did you make of the tactics? And I'll come to you, Luke, in a moment too. What did you think of the general setup that we went for?
I thought we set up really well. I mean, we defended really well. I thought the defense was in sync today, and impressively, even when Warrior came on due to Justin being injured, they lined up well. The offside trap worked brilliant in the first half. Sadly, didn't work out in the second half. A few close calls there going that way. And Didi, what a player, man! What a player! I thought Sumare had some very good moments. A few mistakes as well today, but overall, I thought Root set us up well. The one thing I would have liked for him was to quicker make the substitution, so we had the energy, because we had a few moments where you could see we got the opportunity handed to us, but Ayew and Vardy, they were too tired. They were too overworked, right? There are some old fellas. Give them some time to catch their breath, and we couldn't give that when we opened the game. So I thought the substitution should have come maybe 10 minutes earlier when Luke started wanting them in the green room as well. But I thought that would have been a good time, actually. I was a bit pessimistic, saying maybe just keep them on, because I thought they did quite well. But Luke was right. We needed them on earlier, because the few good chances we created at that point were wasted due to tiredness.
Yeah, I was going to say, because a lot of people are saying the subs lost us the game. Indeed, he won a lot of midfield battles. But I do wonder, I mean, we did concede already when he was on the pitch. I think we were speaking at halftime, and I said I thought that indeed he would last for as long as it was possible to get something. I think that might have been done with some sort of preventative thing. What did you make of that, Luke? We're obviously going to come to Rude and subs in a minute, but what do you think of the overall tactical setup and the flow of the game?
My big one is, like, a lot of people are complaining about the final third. Like, so if we're looking at like our wingers, they both like pace. So that when we were getting the ball, you could make an argument that, yeah, maybe I had a few decent ball deliveries and he held up the ball well, but that's all he really does. So like our offense of the transition just is not there because the wingers don't have pace. In my opinion, Ducovery can't even hold up the ball. He's not physical. He's not fast. You could have arguments, like you mentioned in the green room, that, if there's reasons and merit in why he played, but hence I still think he shouldn't have started. I think it was too slow. I still think that, look, Mavadid is getting pelters, and I'll talk about him a bit more later, but he's getting pelters right now. But still, he beats his man, and I think he's really missing having Dewsbury Hall next to him. He needs an 8 alongside him to get the most out of him. He's not very good at stretching the pitch and putting the ball across here like Victor is.
Yeah, well, I'm sure we'll come on to Mavadidi, because that's going to be a big talking point, I think, about why we conceded the goals. But all right, let's get on with the match ratings. I will give Victor Christensen to Duck. So for that reason, I'm going to start with the first day. And I want to talk about Mads Manson. What did we make of him today? Fairly solid. Didn't really have too much to do in the game. There was one moment where I felt he should have been maybe a bit more commanding in his box and rushed forward to smother the ball. But in the end, we kind of got out of trouble. It wasn't too bad. Could he have done anything for the goals? I don't think so. So I think he was overall quite solid. I think his passing out today was pretty decent. He made a few quite nice passes into the middle. There were one or two that was almost like, but he didn't really have any problems. Solid, probably an average rating. So I'm guessing he's going to get probably, 5 is average, probably somewhere between 5 6. Anyone got anything to say about Mads? I think he was just all right today, right?
Yeah, all right. Not at fault for the goals. The chances they scored from were big enough that you wouldn't expect the keeper to save them. Yeah. Good performance.
Exactly, yeah. Solid overall, but let down by mistakes from his defense. So what did you guys give him? Yeah, you gave him a 6. Not really.
Yeah, that's what happens when we lose, though, because even if our players play well, everyone becomes so reactive. They think we've played horribly, and everyone gets like a 4 or 5. It's crazy. Stupid.
Yeah. Now we're gonna get on to the next one. Oh, I've got Caleb next. Okay, so I tell you what, we'll do Caleb. We'll wait till Christensen. So I'm gonna give Caleb a Coley. If you don't mind, I'm going to give this one actually to Manny, if you don't mind. I'm going to give Fast to you, Luke, if that's all right. So Caleb Okoli, you must have been, I know you were very pleased to see him in the team. What did you make of Caleb Okoli's performance today?
I mean, I think he's our best centre-back out of the 4 that we have, full stop.
Mm-hmm.
Forget about high line, low line, this, that, the other. I think he's our best centre-back that we have on the books. So he's 6'4", he's big, he's strong, he wants it, he's hungry, he's mobile. He's playing left back, he's playing left wing, he's moving advanced, he's covering. And there was one point, I think, where he covered for Fass and got a clearance too. And I mean, good signs. I like this player. I think we've got a player on our hands. I think he's good enough to be a really decent quality centre back in the Premier League. And the only thing I'm left scratching is why hasn't he been playing the whole time? It's just I don't understand that part. So thought he played well today. Maybe you could argue for the second goal that him and Victor, when they changed to a back three, got their wires crossed a little bit about who was supposed to be picking up the man. So maybe there is an issue there when they do change within the game about, whose job it is to pick X, Y, and Z. But overall, I thought he had a good game.
Yeah, exactly. I noticed he had some fairly decent passing. I remember one time going with a good left-footed down the line ball and it reached its target. So he can actually play with both. So yeah, very good. I mean, look, he's prone to make mistakes, but you compare him to our other defenders. The thing is that Okoli should get better, right? Whereas a lot of the other defenders we have in their team, they're past their peak. If anything, they're only going to get worse. And the pace makes a massive difference. Luke, are you feeling okay? You're very placid. I think he's saving his stuff for a little bit later on. I'm definitely giving him Steffi Mavadini, that's for sure. So sorry, guys, that's going to Luke. But Caleb, 7.3, very good. I would agree with that. Funny, proper Italian defender, but I think he was good on the ball too, right? So who wants to speak there? Sorry, guys.
I think it needs to be higher. I think he had a brilliant game. Didn't put many feet wrong. I mean, there will always be a few mistakes with the quality of players we have, right? But he had a really good game. I think I gave him a 9. He was really, really good.
Yeah, I think I gave him a high rating. And then Phil Upton says, put Nelson with him. Well, that's going to be for next season, but that's quite promising because on paper, that's 2 defenders who will be, fast, good on the ball, or relatively decent on the ball, fairly physical. Ben Nelson's pretty tall. Oh, Manny for DOF. There you go. Only one on the panel with a calm, level head. How much have you paid off Sean there to say that today?
Another protest coming in the following week, then, I think.
Yeah. So, all right, let's move on from Caleb. Okay. I'll actually give this one to you, Luke, then. So you can take Wout Faes. So a lot of people are blaming him for his positioning, I think, especially for that first goal. What did you make of his performance today?
Yeah, mediocre. I can understand why they think that for the first goal. I don't think he was horrible. I wouldn't want him to make a run forward like I saw a Coley with. That's one thing that scares me when he does that. But for me, I would have given him a 5. Just average. There's not really much to say about him.
Yeah, anyone want to chime in there? I mean, I think
I thought he was good. I mean, the only mistake I can think of off the top of my head was the miscommunication between him and Woyan, who needs to mark Marino in the goal. I mean, for the first goal. I thought on that, I can't remember a single foot he put wrong. I can remember him fighting in, winning some good duels, forcing them out on the corners to make sure they didn't get the shots on target. I thought he had a good game. I think I gave him a 7.
Well, here's the thing, and I would agree. Faes was okay until he got caught out for the first goal, but he always makes one mistake a game, which is true. I think if you look back at that goal, though, I think to be fair, the cross in is a really good cross because it's right in between the middle of 2 men.
It's a brilliant cross.
But I do agree that at the end of the day, at elite Premier League level, that's the difference between you getting the clean sheet and not, right, is that you have someone to deal with it. And neither him nor Koulibaly does well. And everyone says that he switched up again for that. Some even saying for both goals. Should be here looking forward for Leicester. So I think that's fair because the problem is if that game is only 80-minute game, we actually get something of it. But instead we don't.
So Marino is the only one in that picture. And him and Koulibaly, he's got into the gap between them. So it's normal, isn't it? You're trying to pull off the back of the centre-back and find the gap between the two. And it's not it's not any kind of special tactic. He allowed it to happen behind him. There's 2 of you there. There's one attacker between you. The centre back. It's the centre back's primary job. And if he can't, then the fullback needs to come in and tuck in and help him out. So it was a double whammy, but mostly Faes' fault for that.
Yeah, especially though it's frustrating because Marino's not even a striker, right? He's an attacking midfielder at best. That is.
You're right. It was brilliant delivery. Lovely ball in.
All right, well, first clip-worthy moment of the show. So I've got to read the message out. This was absolutely hilarious. So Locks, during the game, this is what he messaged me. Let's see if he can do it. He goes to me, Duck, you need to teach these Danes how to defend, man. If only they defended as well as you defend them. That was Locks' comment from the BTG chat. So I've got to give him to Victor Christensen. What did you make of his performance today?
I think anyone that says play Luke Thomas, and this goes to the people I've seen on Twitter as well, go back and watch the United game and you'll see a pile of shit 10 times worse than this. I've had it up to here with our fan base, and this is not just going to Christiansen. This is going to pretty much every single time we lose a game. We could put in a good performance, and I promise you, just like anyone else, I am dead fucking tired of sitting here saying we've had good performances and not getting results. I'm so fucking sick of it. I am sick of it up to here. I'm so tired. But every time we play good for 80, 90 minutes, we make a few mistakes. People slander players like they've never touched a football before. I've seen people call him brain dead and should never touch the football again. It's absolutely horrific. People are slandering him for a single mistake. Go back. He had multiple good moments in the game, just like any other player. He's by far not the only reason we lost. But I guarantee you, because our club, instead of being able to give credit to a top-of-the-table Premier League team for a brilliant cross or a good play-in, you're slandering him like he should never touch the football pitch again. And this is not just about Victor. It's not just about Vestergaard or any other Danes. I obviously defend because I think they're good footballers. But it's fucking annoying, man, that we'd rather sit there and say our own team is so bad that they should never even play football than give a slight bit of credit to one of the best teams in the Premier League. It's horrific. It's absolutely... Look at yourself. You're basement-dwelling losers if you're sitting there tweeting out on Twitter saying that he might as well just off himself because he made one mistake for the whole game. It's embarrassing. It's fucking embarrassing. Of course it's an embarrassing mistake. I'm disappointed too. I'm disappointed like anyone else would be that one of the players that I think can do way more makes a misjudgment like that between him and Okoli. But to sit there on Twitter moaning like he's the worst player you've ever seen play for your football club. Do you remember Marty? Do you remember Danny Ward? There are so many other players who've been worse or players who've made mistakes in this game. But we should be slandering him like this. He played good for 80 minutes and then he had 10 shit minutes. Yes, that's true. But this saying that he should never even touch the football or saying Luke Thomas should be playing. It's horrendous. It's absolutely horrific. Get a grip, guys.
It's interesting feedback on that. Luke, what did you make of it? He's absolutely creasing up. I think he's got too much power putting giving Duck his close-ups. Go on, let's try and be rational and let's try and be like constructive here. So what did you make of Christensen's performance today?
I don't know. It sounds like Duck's like one flight away from coming over here to give me a touch-up if I say anything bad. I thought he was... I'm going to give this one to Manny, actually.
I'm going to give it straight back to Luke.
Okay. Look, I'll be honest. Like, I think he had a decent-ish. Like, he did well to pressure his man, close off a lot of the times outside the box and defense. I thought he was okay. But yeah, the last 10, 15 minutes, I think he needed to come off. But we had no option other than Luke Thomas to come on. I don't think Luke Thomas is a better option for what it's worth. Duck, than
wasn't even on the bench, Luke Thomas, today, by the way.
So he had no choice but to gut that one out. I think he was expected to do too much on making those overlapping runs forward because Victor Mavididi went past him, but he's holding the ball, and that's really it. He hasn't got the pace to keep up with him to give a give and go and a player 1-2, so he's expected to do quite a lot. But I think he was just too gassed. But his positioning was awful, I think, due to fatigue at the end of that game.
And I think that's the biggest mistake here. If you really go back to it, right, only having one fullback on the bench, it's unfortunate because this was a game where Victor was asked to run up and down the pitch for 80 minutes. We talked about it at the 60th minute mark. You can see he was struggling to hold on. He's just been injured for a bit, just come back from a knock, and he's asked to play this role for 90 minutes. I think Wu was probably planned to come on at left back like we saw against United. But the problem is Ruud's hand got forced when Justin got injured. And yeah, he wasn't good enough for the end of the game. But I thought at the beginning, he was good. He was too tired. He should never have played the full 90 today because we've seen him play 90 minutes before where he's able to sprint up and down for the entire 90. And this was not one of those days. He needed to be subbed off, but we didn't have anyone to bring on for him. And that's probably one of the biggest, the saddest things.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone's kind of summed it up. I think actually, if you'd have done the match ratings at 80 minutes rather than 90 minutes, you'd have probably got a pretty good rating. But the reality is he has been caught out for the 2 goals. And so therefore, yeah, I mean, I think JC's right here. 4.5 is reactionary. He was better than that. I'm going to
back the Duck up a little bit. This is the Premier League. The kid he's playing against is a damn talented kid. This kid is going to put better fullbacks than Victor Christensen on his backside. He's a quality player. He did a quality bit of play. One quality bit of play from a quality player is inevitable. You know, in the top level, you can't keep them quiet for 90 solid minutes. That's why it's so important not just to worry about defending. You know, you've got to try and, at some point, the likelihood is they are going to score. He's also a young lad. I know people don't think that's much of an excuse, but it just plays something. And it's as simple as that. One player you think makes a mistake, so whoever's on the bench becomes a better player by default. Luke Thomas is not the answer to anything unless it's guaranteed relegation. You know, this just
Just to be fair to what Andreas was saying there, maybe the point is with the system that we play is that you do need to have the option on the bench to be able to replace that player, because I'm sure Luke's going to come to it later. But that first goal, Steffi Mavrodides on the ball, he's trying his step overs, and he's got Victor Christensen who's offering the overlap. And we're all screaming, pass it, Victor, pass it to Victor so he can get the cross in. He doesn't, he loses the ball. And now all of a sudden you've got your left back higher than your winger on the left-hand side, and now he's got to get back, and a goal comes from that same move because he's tired to get back, because he's been asked to do that for 90 minutes, right? It's the systemic issue that we've seen in the team all season long. So you see, maybe the thing is that if you're playing that system, and look, to be fair to Rude, maybe if Justin didn't go off injured, he would have made that change, and he would have put Koulibaly on for him, as he did against Manchester United, to protect that player from getting tired. But Andreas's point is maybe then you need to have two fullbacks, because do you really need to have Connor Cody and Yannick Vestergaard on the bench when you've got this setup?
Or both skip and wings, right?
Yeah, because are you not just kind of like setting yourself up for failure? So we're going to cover that in the analysis. I think up until that is good, but at the end of the day, it's frustrating because, as everyone says, we're tired of saying good performance FC. You know, we really need to get something. And to be fair, though, there's some other really good points here, though, which is to say that, like, look, if we're being honest from Lucas, our biggest issue is a lack of attack. Our defense is poor, but it doesn't help them never having a lead in defending for 90 minutes. And there's no outball, right? So because we never have the outball, then you're going to have to get back and forth. But again, if we're more clinical there and we make something of it, then you don't have to ask much. Anyway, we'll come back to it later.
Just one last point, just one very short last point of this. It is the fact that if you think back on the game and the performance, how many dangerous moments can you remember from Ethan and Ranieri for the first 60-65 minutes? I can't remember.
Well, but he hit the crossbar and he hit the post, though, did he not?
And that was after we talked about him being gassed. And at that point, we needed to get him off, but we simply didn't have the choice since Rude's hand was forced, right? That's just my main point to remember. I think too often football gets, obviously games that get defined by single moments, but too often I think it overshadows what was actually a very decent performance just from one mistake. And I think sometimes we go too deep on the person, and that's what I don't like. He makes that one mistake and people call him brainless and should never touch. And I think that just doesn't go for him. It's every other footballer. It's a general trend that I'm seeing in our fan base that I think is a bit disgusting with how we jump on players after just one.
Maybe, but I think it is fair to say that if he could defend as well as you defend him, Andreas, he would be Paolo Maldini. Anyway, let's move on. I'm going to move on to James Justin.
Crazy,
I'm going to give this one to Manny, because we were talking about him a lot in the first half, especially. He only played a half, but some very good half I think he had. So talk to me about James Justin.
I think this is a case of, when a player's going through a bad spell, as he was, and I was one for, he needs a break. He needs a break from the team. Too many errors. Rude, maybe because he had no other option at the time, it just kept on playing him. And steadily, we've seen those errors get less and less and less, almost eliminated today. I actually thought he had a really good game until he got injured, poor lad. I thought he was close. I mean, it was against Sterling today in the game changer when Sterling went off. So you do have to factor in that, Sterling likes the Nando's, clearly. And he's not been...
Who doesn't like a cheeky Nando's? I'm not joking. I've told Locks many times we need to get Nando's as a sponsor for blue tinted glasses. I'll happily eat a peri chicken on the street.
He's been at the soda refills as well, it looks like, as well. Man after my own heart. And he was just, JJ looked absolutely fine against him today. Tougher time when Trossard went out there on the left-hand side, but, we'll come to Woyo later. But it's nice to see JJ actually coming through that tough period. And there's been 3 or 4 games now where we haven't really had anything to really shout at him for, which is a pleasing thing.
Absolutely. Well, look, let's get to his rating. 6.5 he got. I actually think that's still a little bit negative. Maybe it's because he's only played first half. But I think, honestly, in the first half, you could make an argument for saying he was our best player. It was really, really good today, James Justin. Completely pocketed Raheem Sterling. Started to offer something in attack. Looked like his Achilles, really. Oof, that's painful if it's true. I'm hoping it was just his ankle. But he was strapped up in there.
That 6.5 is way too low. He had a brilliant first half.
Yeah.
I think, again,
because
maybe it's because he only had the half, though, to be fair. And
but still, you have to rate them on how they did while they were on the pitch.
Yeah.
And genuinely, I think one of the few games I've sat there thinking, I didn't think he put more than a foot wrong. Like, he was really,
listen,
good.
I agree. It's like, for example, I think if you're an Arsenal fan, you have to give Mikel Merino a 9 or a 9.5, right? And he only played 10 minutes. So it's an interesting one. But look, this is the thing with the channel, is I don't decide what the ratings are. It's
the fans, and we're too reactionary.
Just like the protest. If you want to do it, we live in a free country, so that's what we try and do. All right, okay. Well, let me put it out to team. Who wants to take Wilf? I'm tempted to take him myself, to be honest with you.
I'll go for it. I'll
Go
cut
on
in
then,
front of
Luke.
Manny.
Talk to me about
Okay.
Wilf and Didi today.
Okay, we'll give it to Manny afterwards because we know he's absolutely spunking himself underneath right now. Indeed, really, really, really good. We were talking about how surprised we were watching the game together. Like he was able to play that, advanced 8 position. He was good for robbing the ball up, but he wasn't. It was impressive he could do that. But back to being in the double pivot, he's been incredible again. I think having Samari there as cover really helps him. Him getting stuck in, intercepting, winning the ball back, making beautiful challenges inside the box, cleanly get the foot to the ball first, not costing us a penalty, clearing these lines. Unbelievable today. Decent on the ball, got advanced and attacked the half space. This is the most important thing I just want to mention. He attacked the half space at the perfect amount of times and was still able to track back and then get caught with his pants down. I thought he was brilliant today. I saw a lot of players kind of hovering over the first 10, 15 minutes, and I was worried that he was going to be the pressing trigger where he looked, vulnerable under some time at Brennan Rodgers. But no, today I thought he was superb, and it's good to see him back. I'll pass it over to Matty now.
You guys go. You guys. I do Wilf a lot, so I'm really interested to hear what you guys think.
Very simple. I mean, if this isn't a 9 or 10 out of 10, it's a disgrace. Saved us multiple times when our defense got cut through. He was absolutely brilliant. It made me think of the clip of the Man United fan. He wins that ball so much. The old fella there who starts crying over Wan-Bissaka being brilliant. And NDD it will be key to us staying up if we manage to do that. He has to put in these performances week in, week out. What a fucking beast, man. And if this is a 6 or 7, I might as well just walk off the show because then we're an embarrassing fan base. It would be a joke then.
If Declan Rice is worth £110 million, what was Ndidi worth today? Because I thought he was levels above Declan Rice. I thought he was levels above Thomas Partey. I actually thought he was best player on the pitch. Mind you, I'm a bit biased. I probably think that most weeks. But we've seen the guy's just come back from a long-term injury. I myself thought it was going to take several games for him to get up to speed. Absolutely dominated at Old Trafford. Absolutely dominated against Arsenal. These are big-name clubs. Two of the biggest boys around. And Wilf, who people, who hated, the hatred of Wilf. Can you see now why the hatred of Wilf was so ridiculously wrong? Have you learnt your lesson with Wilf? Non-negotiable, like I've been saying all season. There were times when people were trying to convince me that Winks should play ahead of him or Skip should play ahead of him. Absolutely laughable that those notions are today, because we finally see the value of this player to the team. The guy's a monster defending. He's attacking. He had a headed clearance. He's heading out corners. He had a chance. Arguably could have done better. 2 chances today. Absolute box-to-box beast. He's been with us 8-9 years. He should be that far off Vardy in legendary status. Been super loyal to the club. 19. He could have gone in the summer. He could have gone. If he wanted to have some sunshine and he didn't want to go to Narber Road for his dinner, then he could have had a brilliant time in Spain or gone somewhere interesting.
Manny, when's the wedding?
Stayed.
That's what Caleb says.
He stayed. You know what? Give this guy's dues. Anyone who moving forward, if he has a stray pass, instead of saying, "Oh, look, his passing's terrible," appreciate what he brings to the team. Guy's an absolute monster, and at the moment, the best player in this team.
Absolutely. Well, I would give him my man in the match as well. He got an 8.
That's too low.
Yeah, look, maybe it's because some people said he missed the header. I mean, that was a harder chance than it looked, but it was good effort. But I mean,
yeah, that's why you deducted 1 point from the 10 out of 10 performance. That's
maybe
the few small mistakes he made, right? There was no mistake where it was calamitous errors here. It was a few small mistakes, as every player in our club will make. Yeah. None of them are perfect. I think a 9 today would have been easily justifiable.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. If Let's Go saw these performances, easy 80 million. I think this would be the last season that you see in DD because someone will buy him and he's got a release.
If we go down for sure, if we stay up, maybe.
No, I think even if we stay, I think he's just proved it. He'll be the only player stats-wise, maybe Hermansen, that if you look among the rankings, he will be in the top 2 or 3 players for that position come the end of the season, which is amazing.
You and I did the numbers earlier in the season. We compared them directly to Caicedo at the time, who was flying for Chelsea, and we saw whoa, Wilf's defensive stats are higher than Caicedo's.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if his attacking stats are better right now, just because
per minutes in the Premier League. Yeah, per minutes in the Premier League, strictly for defensive relating duties, Wilfred Ndidi is the best defensive midfielder in the Premier League. He's better than Rice at defending. He's better than Rodri at defending only. Now, the rest of the stuff, we know that there are issues. But in purely defending terms, he's the best defensive midfielder in the entire league. and we're absolutely damn lucky to have him. And if we have any chance of staying up, it's because he's fit and healthy, hopefully, to the rest of the season.
Yeah, well, there you go. I'm comparing him to Caicedo, but you can see there that, yeah, Wilf does beat him for clearances, blocks, tackles, actually even touches in the attacking penalty area. I mean, he's really good. It's just the amount of passes, but it's a different style of team. Anyway, let's move on to his midfield partner. So who wants to take Bouba Samare? How about Luke? Sorry, let's go for the Duck. Do you want to take Boobs?
Yeah, sure, man. Sure. I thought he was good. Compared to his normal performance, a few too many big mistakes, right? Almost cost a goal early on when he tried to do his body drop.
Yeah.
But I think he was at like a 6.5, 7 today. I thought he was good multiple times again. He shows why we need him. But just like any other player, he's not perfect. And this was not his best game. He's still absolutely clinical and crucial, rather. I don't think clinical is the right word. Crucial for starting 11. Him and Ndidi must be the partnership we do every single game until the rest of the season. But yeah.
What could he have done better, if you don't mind me asking? I don't think that's unfair what you've said, but I mean, why, for example, are we not singing his praises? Not trying to put words in your mouth or even chat. What did he need to improve in a game like today?
A few too many mistakes, and too costly mistakes. I think all of our players makes mistakes, but he almost gave away that goal, right? When he got a very easy ball from Ayew, and he tried to do the half turn, and he just got caught out on it and lost the ball, giving away a massive chance. But Wout Faes actually saved us by blocking the shot from Sterling. So it's that I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of a few times he received the ball outside the box, and he took too long to make a decision, and ended up making sure the chance was never going to accumulate to anything because it took out all the tempo of the attack. Again, I will say, I thought overall it was a good game, but we've seen better from Boobs. And that's why I'm thinking like a 6 or 7, because he was good, but a few too many mistakes today.
I think his ball distribution is the biggest thing that needs to be improved upon. I think his first touch can be left to be desired as well. That's what really lets me down sometimes. What bothers me is when he does make those, carry him those long runs, he takes the ball and progresses it up the pitch, kind of similar to what we used to see of Dewsbury Hall. It's what comes after that's a little bit of a letdown. When he gets anywhere near the final third, he left a lot to be desired. I want to see him have some confidence. I want to see him shoot on goal, even if it's not on target. I just want him to have a little bit more authority on his finishing. That's all I want to see, because if he could add that to his game, I think that he could improve as a player a lot more. I think it's the biggest downside to his game for me.
Yeah, Luke is definitely my brother from down under. That's exactly how I feel as well. I think he's overall very solid, but if he just had a bit more, confidence, I feel confidence in attack, he could make that killer through pass and he'd get a lot more. He wouldn't necessarily get the assist, but he would get like the big key passes. Someone says, would Duck rate him higher if he was Danish? If he was Samaritan?
No, I think I'm making it very clear. I obviously love my Danes, right? But I think while I make it very clear that I love them, it doesn't cloud my judgment of that performance. I'm more disappointed in them that I get angry because I want my Danes to succeed, right? I want to see my national team. These are national team level players. I want to see them perform well, improve. But it doesn't affect how I rate them. And I still stand by that they are not perfect. They make some mistakes and they've cost some goals. And I'm saying that as well for Christiansen today, right? He's marking for that last goal and he's done it multiple times this season, just not good enough.
Don't worry, Doug. We're just all piling in on you.
It doesn't cloud my rating.
Bouncer tonight
how I rate the players. Let me make
you're the meme for the stream today. All right, let's move on to Bobby Donkey Over Reed, as he's known by Luke. It took me a long time to actually understand what you're even saying there. We're going to get the t-shirts made. What did you make of Bobby Reed today, Luke?
Look, he had a decent shot on target, so I'll give him his dues there. But what I think that the problem is, he didn't do anything too much really, like where I can isolate him and like roast him for. But what I can say is that I don't think he offered anything to the team whatsoever. He did his, you could say, job. I'm sick of seeing him in set pieces marking the biggest man. This what that's all about. I will never understand. I don't know if it's a personal thing because we've now seen him do it with Cooper and Rude. But I just don't think that he's physical enough to be a winger where he's holding the ball. And like I mentioned earlier, I don't think he has the pace to be able to take his man on beating with a dribbling ability behind it. So I just don't, he drifts a lot in. He's not even really playing as a right winger anyway. That's more JJ when he was on the pitch progressing up. I would give him personally a 6. I still don't want to see him start, mate, but I can't rinse him, but I just don't think there's any value in him as a starter.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's a good comment here where someone said basically he is the new Albrighton in that basically sorry, I've lost the comment, but that was a really good comment in that basically JC, he's the new Albrighton in for his work rate. I can see that. Like, he doesn't really let you down. He tries to put a lot of effort in. He doesn't really make mistakes, but I do agree that I feel that today, yeah, look, drift away. We say it every week. He's a bench player, fine today, but will never be the difference. And it definitely feels like for times that he's, yeah, what did he really do in this game? He was a little bit anonymous today, other than that shot. And Aaron, fair point, at least Albrighton had a final ball. I just come back to you, Manny, to say it yet again, but why does Bobby Reid mark the tallest guy for corners?
He's just there to block the run. So he's not there to actually stop the play. He's there to slow him down so he can't build up momentum and steam to charge into the zone with full power, full energy. One slows, the other tracks and tries to carry on slowing. So because Bobby's so tiny and he doesn't really help you in the other areas, in that defensive area, he may as well do the first part of that role. And because JJ's faster and has a good spring, he takes the second part of that role of defending the centre-back. It's actually quite a clever play. But you know, Bobby, he's just not. I like my wingers to be sexy. I like them to do something. I like them to do something a bit special. I like them to get, Fatawu, when he gets the ball, I come alive. I'm like, this kid could do something magic. He could beat him here. He could cut inside. He could go outside. I don't know what's going to happen. Bobby tries. Bobby high work rate. He works in the system, but there's no sexiness. I want to see. I want him to be aroused. He doesn't arouse me. And that's the problem. I want arousing wingers, and I wanted to buy 2 arousing wingers. And I think if we had 2 arousing wingers, this team would have beaten Arsenal today. They were there for the taking.
Yeah, I mean, look, for me, it's always criminal that, forget even the January window, in the summer, Jordan Ayew and Bobby Reid are not wingers. They're hard to even say they're wide attacking players. They're not people that can beat someone one-on-one. They're not fast. They don't offer you that threat. That was literally the profile. So it's just obvious that we need to sign at least one. We didn't, to be honest with you, we needed 2, but I'd settle for 1. The fact that we didn't sign anyone, it's like, all you did do is Martin Glover's go, Martin, I need someone who's fast, that's got pace on the break and is good at dribbling, beating a 1-for-1. I don't mind if they're a bit rough around the houses like what Fatawa was, but just get me someone, we can develop them, but you got to get me someone with that profile. And Bobby Reid and Jordan Ayew don't have that profile. Stupid mistake. Anyway, he actually got a pretty bad rating, 4.9 in the end. But to be honest with you, I can understand it. If 5 is the average, it's basically saying he was average, which is fair enough, I think. In fact, to be honest with you, maybe we should do a disclaimer for the ratings. I'm going to give this one to... Who wants Ayew and who wants El Khanous? I'm going to give El Khanous to Duck because we've been jumping in on Duck for this one. So I'm going to give Manny Ayew and I'm going to give Vardy to Luke. So Bilal El Khanous, talk to me, Duck. I'm actually interested with this one because what did you make of his performance today?
I mean, I'm going to sound like I'm repeating myself. I think the expectations we've had of him, knowing what he can reach, right? We are all expecting so much, and there's so much pressure in the attack because it needs to come from him so often to be the creative force. I thought he was okay, not stand out. When he steps into the game, you can clearly feel his presence when he starts dictating the tempo. But yeah, I think there's simply too much pressure on this man. Even when he plays a decent game, you quickly think about the facts or think about what he didn't do perfectly. I think he's like a 6 or 7. Was okay, not stand out and not bad.
What did you make of him, Luke, today, Bilal El Khanous?
I think I can understand where you're coming from. Like, he didn't create too much, you could say, but I don't think it was the kind of game where he was able to, in my opinion, just because of the lack of options. It's one of the biggest problems for the wingers for me, that they slow the game down so much and there's not really anyone attacking the half space. But I think Bilal, look, he did decent. He had a few dodgy challenges. I think that you could say that he should have settled down a bit, but I thought it was fair. I thought he was okay. His ball distribution was okay. I would have given him like maybe a 7 or a 6. Like, not a bad game, but like didn't make an impact that you would expect from him. But I think that was a systematic problem, not a performance from him.
Yeah, but I mean, I agree with all of that. And I think you can definitely see that if he played in a better team, Bilal, he'd create so much, wouldn't he? It's just he can't in a team like this. But it's a fair comment from Aaron here. Problem for Bilal is that teams will target him and try to mark him out of the game as he is our only attacking player going forward, especially when you consider the lack of attack from those around him. So there's sort of too much. And, Lux has just brought this up, but here's a fact. 0 league goals at home since December the 8th. I suppose we did score against QPR, but he means Premier League, which is fair enough. And, that is a worry because it definitely feels that like we are. I know, look, you can compare this game to when we played with Steve Cooper. I mean, Arsenal could have probably scored about 1 million goals that day, but we did score twice, lucky or not. But now we're not scoring, but we do look better defensively. But it does feel like there's a lot on young Bilal's shoulders. And, is that something we need to, or maybe we can come to that when we get to the manager himself. But I think he's okay. Didn't really do enough in the game. I mean, look, you could say, what did Odegaard do in the game today? You know, I think the crosses came from their wide players. And yeah, look, Buzz is saying teams just double mark Bilal. You can leave IU alone because if he gets the ball, even Johnny Evans could catch up to him. To be honest, if you don't even have to wait, most of the time he's just going to turn back. Although he did the 2 times he played the ball forwards, something actually happened. He just needs to learn doing it more. But look, great player. Hopefully still with us regardless of what division we're in next season. But I feel that like the team is just relies upon him too much and very easy that, you know, you can get rid of it. All right, Manny, I'm going to give you your favorite player here. It's Jordan Ayew.
I mean, what can I say that I haven't said in 50 different ways, 50 different times? I mean, he tries hard. He does what he's supposed to do. He wins his free kick. He holds it up. He also slows up the play. He ran forward once today, to be fair. He got to the touchline and did put in a really nice cross. So, you know, if he could repeat more of that. But it's not him. It's not him personally. If you are 33, you're not as fast as somebody who's 23. That's pretty much it, unless you roared it up. So it's. I mean, what can he do that is going to surprise us? Is he going to stick one in from 25 yards? Nah. Is he going to find a killer through ball for somebody? Nah. Is he going to put an absolutely pinpoint delicious cross in? Nah. Is he going to hunt down and close down? Yes. Is he going to compete for the long ball? Yes. Is he going to turn backwards? Yes. Is he going to be uninspiring? Yes. Is he going to bore the shit out of you? Yes. Again, not sexy. We need sexiness. We need sexy, sparkling, magic, creativity. We just, like Locks just said, we have
just to be fair, quickly, Manny. A question from Locks: what did Sexy Didi, as you call him, Mavadidi's pace bring to the game when he came on?
I think there was one. He beat 2 men and got which Arsenal player booked? Which one was it?
Jorginho.
Was it Jorginho who got booked? Where he did 2 step overs and beat 2 players and beat him on the outside and started charging down the wing. Now that's one micro moment. And I know Locks is going to go, it gave the ball away. We can see the goal from it on the other end. Oh, God. Yeah, fine. But that guy can create a bit of magic. He can beat a player. Can Jordan Ayew beat a player? Can Bobby Cordova-Reid beat a player? There's your answer.
So he won a foul, Manny. Isn't that what you're saying, or why he does?
I'm sorry, but Lux has a hate bone around from Mavadidi. He brings something different, and I think it's something we need to accept. Mavadidi is not consistent Premier League quality, but he does offer something different than Ayew in attack. He's willing to take on his man. He beats him maybe 20-30% of the time, and that's not a good ratio, but it's better than 0 and never taking on your man like Ayew does. I think Ayew has a place in the team, for sure, but I think maybe recently, and maybe it's just Lux, but some people have gotten a hate bob over Mavadidi. We want him to take on his man. We want him to make these decisions and be challenging, be different than Ayew. And when he does that, obviously he'll lose the ball from it every now and then because he's not perfect. He's not a brilliant footballer, and he's not consistent Premier League level. But he's the only one of a few players we have who dares to try and do it. And yeah, he's just been in shit form recently. Absolutely horrific form.
Well, he got a 5.4. I think that's harsh, to be honest with you. I agree with all of that. He's not sexy. He does mainly slow down the attack. But I think overall, a lot of the more dangerous moves that were created by Leicester today did involve Jordan Ayew in some role. You know, he did more than Bobby Reid. I'd even say he did more than the next person that we're going to talk about. But yeah, look, for sure, just like in the summer, when Jordan Ayew was signed, you were thinking, you know, this is not really the sort of signing that I was hoping we were going to make for a team that was ambitious to stay in the Premier League. And, you know, I think this is a good comment from Matty B. Goes, the bottom line is that both Locks and Manny don't want Ayew or Mavadidi, which is true. We want a better winger than both of them. We want Fatau, who's not playing. And just quickly, there was a question as to where is Kate? Kate is currently just come back from Indonesia. She was on holiday, but she will be back. I'm not sure she'll join us tomorrow or not. Hopefully she will do, but she will be back around soon. She'll be coming off the subs bench, hopefully, after her injury break. All right, let's move on from Ayew. Similar things we have to say about this. So, Luke, talk to me about Jamie Vardy.
I'm still annoyed that we got rid of Tom Cannon. And I hate to say this, but I don't think Dak is going to be the answer even in the championship. But unfortunately, I think that if someone else needs to start, Vardy can't be starting games anymore, in my opinion. There was one moment where he took the ball, progressed up the pitch on the left-hand side. He looked absolutely knackered and he couldn't dish the ball off properly. His ball distribution was well off purely because of that big, massive run he had. It was like it took everything he had out of him to make that one run, and that was about the 60-minute mark. I still think he should. I'm on the opinion now that he's probably our most reliable, you would say, but he's not putting the most goals away to be able to back that stat up. So in my opinion, he should not be starting. I think we should just give Daka a run. I hate Daka as well, but at this point we need the pace, and Premier League's all about pace. And with that 125 whatever year old front three we have, that's why we're not having anything on transition or in the final third is all because of the pace, in my opinion. And he's part of that problem, I hate to admit.
I see this differently, Luke, though. I view this the opposite. I think I still want Vardy to start, but I think we need to be very clear about when we take him off. And I think we're in agreement with this, right? Because we discussed it as well watching the game. Around the 65th, 70th minute, he got a chance to try and sprint, but he was knackered. He was done. You could see there wasn't more in him. I think I want him to start, but around the 55th, 60th minute, he has to go off for Daka because he needs to conserve his energy and use his sprints wisely. He still has them in him, but he doesn't have many of them anymore. So I think something Enzo was really good at was, giving him the delicate minutes to get the best out of Vardy. And that's where both Ruud and Cooper have failed because they're forced him to play these 90 minutes games when he simply can't. In my opinion, I want him to start, take him off no later than the 60th minute and get some fresh leg ons in Daka who can keep the press up and keep the high line going.
Yeah, I think I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I think it depends on the game. Today, when you see, a few times we have on the break, it depends on what your kind of sort of style is. But with no pace in that front three, I think you're always asking for problems. But he did really look tired today. I agree about hauling him off earlier. There's too much reliance upon him. And there you go. He's got 5.2 then overall for not really being involved, which I think is kind of understandable. All right, let's talk about the manager himself. I'll come to you, Luke, first, but I think we should all get a say on this. So Ruud van Nistelrooy, let's take into account the tactics that he went for today and the subs that he used and overall. So what did you think about him overall today, Ruud van Nistelrooy?
I want to give this back to you because there's a point that you massively wanted to talk about. I don't know if you did already at halftime and if I missed it, but how much offsides did we get in that first half? I think it was 4, I believe. The offside trap worked really well in that first half. Let's give him his credit there. Let's give him the credit that, look, to be fair, I think that with the strategy and this, how Arteta wants to play, I think Sterling was a massive problem from getting them into that game, and he was put out by JJ brilliantly. The only negative thing I have to say about Ruud van Nistelrooy is you could argue about the wingers, as we've talked about so much already, but then you could say that's maybe part of the reason why we're so compact, maybe. It just left to be desired at the break. But in my opinion, the subs needed to come sooner. I think Vardy needed to come off. I think Mavididi should have gone on, and I will explain why when we come to him. All in all, if I had to rate him, mate, I'd probably give him a 7. I think it's harsh what's happened in the last 10 minutes. He deserves respect for the squad that he has to put that performance against Arsenal.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Someone says, good comment. Ruud 8 to halftime, 3 after halftime. So I think his strategy was to play a high line against Arsenal to catch them offside, frustrate them and make it hard for them to get in, especially without so many of their attackers being available. And it worked really well. Sterling had a poor game. Nwaneri was a bit unlucky, but they would have still been almost wonder goals if he'd have scored them. They weren't, I think, clear-cut big chances. That worked well. I also noticed that when we started the second half, for the first 5 minutes, we actually pushed right up and we tried to press the ball of Arsenal. And I think Ruud sensed that we maybe could have done a fast start against them. And that was because we actually started that half pretty well, didn't we, the second half? So I think there was definitely a change there as well. Didn't quite work out, but I could see what he was trying to do. But I do agree with what everyone was saying that his subs, he did wait too long. Yeah, he needs to be more proactive when the subs when we're on the front foot. And also you've got to question some of his selections. A lot of the things were kind of obvious for a long time. And as we're all saying, it's just a front three of Vardy, Ayew, Bobby Reed is not keeping you up in the Premier League. I mean, it's just so obvious. You just say it out loud. It's super obvious. And what we've got to do, we've got to do something there to fix that. And this, isn't the thing that's working for him. So I don't know. I still think overall he did well. You could see he was really crestfallen when that goal went in the 80th minute. Because I still personally think if this game would have ended 0-0, that it would not have been an unfair result, right? I think the fair play to Arsenal, they got the win. It was a great tactical change. They did make chances, but it wasn't like we were hanging on for dear life. This game was in the balance, right? And And look, he went for it. He did change the 4-4-2, and then literally we changed the 4-4-2 and we conceded the minute afterwards. It was game over. That was pretty unfortunate. What do the rest of you guys think? I'll come to you first, Manny, then Duck. What did you make of Rude today?
I like a lot of what I see from Rude. Not perfect, but I like the way he sets his team up. I like the way he identifies weaknesses in the opposition, so he's willing to tweak it certain weeks. I don't like the attacking fullback system. We've been through that.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest errors that he has made has been some of his team selections, the first team selections. I think playing Vestergaard game after game after game after game. That was not great. Okay, at least he's not so stubborn that like Brendan was when he just played Danny Ward relentlessly no matter what. At least he is willing to change it around, and I'm glad to see, like I said, we're getting closer to what I think our best 11 is. Everyone said it in the chat. I've said it here. You guys have said it. We've been saying it for weeks. The two wingers. 9 out of that 11, I'm absolutely happy with. But based on what we've got left, if you're not going to risk someone like Jeremy Monga or a young talent like that, then it's probably going to have to be Mavididi left and Buonanotte right. And that's just by default because there is nothing else. So I'd probably make those two changes. But apart from that, there's not really else I would do. And, there's a wider question with Rude, as in, if we do go down and if Rude is up for staying, do we actually want to keep him for the championship and beyond?
Mm-hmm.
So he's still kind of, in some ways, auditioning for that longer term job, if you know what I mean. And so I tried to watch him closely. What I would say is I really like his interviews. I really like the way he comes across. He's dignified, he's intelligent, he's bright, he's strong. He demands high standards. He's been handcuffed. He's not signed one real player that he would like to sign. He's dealing with other teams. Our actual performances.
Could argue the one player he signed looks quite good.
Yeah, Wario's good. Yeah, I like Wario.
We'll come to him in a bit.
Great today.
And he's been given a shit deal, hasn't he? And he's dealing with dignity. He was apparently promised money and then couldn't spend it. He didn't throw his toys out the pram like some protesters today. And he's dignified. He's classy. And if he wants to stay, I would give him that opportunity to lead our championship charge should it get there. However, all you can do is set your team up to give it the best chance of success. We do that in a lot of games. There's some games were crap, like Everton, but there's a lot of games where we play pretty well. You just think, hopefully, there is some evening up of fortune and luck, and we get something that goes for us, and we get enough points to stay up. But it might just depend on if Wolves are just crapper than we are.
Yeah, I'll ask Andreas in a second. Locks asked me a thing. Question for me. Would we have kept a clean sheet in the first half with Akundo and Mavididi on the wings? Yeah, we could have done. I think Buonanotte is definitely one of those that he seems to sort of lose his positioning a lot and he goes wandering. I think that's something he's really got to work on in terms of understanding what the manager's instructions are. But I don't see why it couldn't. And look, I've said that before. I mean, a lot of people have said that they will rate Rude low just because he starts with those two wingers and he wants them to change it, which I can understand. I'll just quickly come over to you, Duck, before I move on to the referee, because I think especially we were talking about the fullbacks and, being able to protect someone, because it's obvious that Victor Christensen is getting tired. And, that's the thing with the squad selection. Do you need to have Cody and Vestergaard on the bench? Do you need to have Winks and Skip on the bench? I mean, there's a lot of options there. It seems like our system, you need fullbacks, right?
I think he set us up brilliantly. I think it's just a bit unlucky as well. And it's due to the Justin injury that his hand got forced, because he did bring a versatile fullback on, right?
Yeah.
Who could, who I'm pretty sure, 90% sure would have been subbed off when Christiansen was very clearly knackered.
Yeah.
It's a situation where you're like, it's unfortunate, not much to do there. I thought he set us up brilliant in the first half, gave it a good go. I think he's improving. Like when we see things that are going wrong in the team, he's doing his best to improve them, right? We had a period where just at the start of the second half, we looked horrible. The past few second halves, when we've come out, we've looked brilliant. I can't say for the Everton game, didn't watch that. But I'm thinking the Tottenham game in particular, today as well, for the first 10 minutes, we looked brilliant coming out from the break. So there are improvements in the team. The problem is he's working with, I don't want to say a pile of garbage because that's just putting up too much negativity, but a squad that isn't full or brimming with Premier League quality. Let me put it like that kindly then. And
it's a poor squad for the system,
some of the issues,
it?
right?
Yeah.
So I think he's doing the best he can, and that was my one must this season. That whoever is the manager will push this squad to its limits, and I think that's what he's doing. We played 80 minutes evenly up against Arsenal at home, and then a few brain fouls or a few massive mistakes from a few players cost us the game. I don't want to put that on him. But he needs to start making those subs soon again. He did it at the beginning, but he's getting Cooper syndrome, waiting for the 75th minute. We need that proactiveness like we saw in the West Ham game, in the Brighton game. He did it before. He needs to get back to that. And when he does that again, I'll be very happy with him.
Yeah, and look, I think Ethan, this is a really good comment. It says it's all about game state. That's when the subs make the difference. Sterling not affecting the game gets subbed, and of course the difference won them the game. Arsenal, Reed and I were not affecting the game, but they got left on for 75 minutes. And I think that's a brilliant comment, and I very much agree with that. All right, let's move on to the referee. I'm going to give this one to you, man. This is a new one. We've not actually done the referee rating. I brought this in after that Man United debacle where I was absolutely horrific. But what did you make of the ref today?
No major disasters, no major problems, but all the minor errors. Like I think there was a couple of corners in a row when they weren't corners. There was a couple of free kicks where we did get a free kick when it was a clear one. I think there was one on Wilf, and then he gave a free kick to them for almost identical issues.
Yeah,
it's just that natural inbred bias that if you take an Arsenal player down, it's a free kick. But if an Arsenal player takes you down, it's probably not a free kick. You get up, mate. You carry on with it. It's not done actively, I don't think, but it's always in there. You know what it's like? This is the way that I feel. Referee looks at the game and goes, you know what? If I make a howler against Leicester, Leicester can scream and shout, but I'm not going to get too much abuse. But if I make a howler against Arsenal and it affects the title race, Arteta, all their fans, Talk Sports, Sky Sports, everybody for the next 3 days will be giving me pelters. So what I won't do is make sure I get on the wrong side of Arsenal. That's how I think that they... I don't know whether it's active or not, but that's how they think.
It does feel that way. I think it's a fair comment. Matty B says no referee will ever get north of a 3 score, which is probably likely. But look, 5 is the average, and in the end, he's got a 4.6. So to say he was slightly below average, I think that's fair in my opinion. Some things he did well. I think that, I don't think he did book Christensen in the end, and he could have done, but he booked Bilal. I think that was a bit of a stupid one. And people are saying he should have booked Partey. I kind of agree. I was just a bit frustrated that he did. I felt overall he gave Arsenal a lot of soft decisions. Like, there was a free kick that they got right on the edge. I was like, that was never a free kick, bro. But anyway, let's move on because I don't want to make this game about the ref. That's certainly not what happened. So let's move on to the substitute. So I'm going to start with someone who I thought was extremely impressive. So I've given you a lot of the fullback stocks. So I'm going to continue with that theme. So Woyo Koulibaly comes on. And what did you make of him?
He was absolutely brilliant. I mean, wow. 3 million euros. It's very easy to repay your transfer fee when you're that cheap. But what a player, man. He looked really good. He was willing to bomb a bit up the pitch when Christensen was tired later on and try and make those runs, right? And in particular, his defensive work, he was solid in the tackles. Very safely got the ball 90% of the time, really. I was a bit worried getting him on because I thought for once James Justin had a really solid game. But Woyo fit in perfectly, didn't make many mistakes really, and I can't remember him being the biggest one at fault for any of the goals. Yeah, really good. There's still more to come from him, and he's giving me a bit of hope that if James Justin is injured, we now have a good backup who's able to step in right away.
Yeah, I was impressed with him as well. Someone says he was recommended by Maresca. Not sure if that's true or not. But
that is true. I think I did call Maresca to talk about him because they work together at Parma.
Well, but there are certain people on this show, mainly me and Luke, that are known to be Maresca cucks, so we have to be a bit careful of that. But Andrew says, high work rate, good tackles, epic value is certainly a promising thing. Great defending one-on-one, fast, just not great passing, but I'm sure improve. I don't think he was too poor with his passing. A fair comment from Peter. Koulibaly was at far post for the second goal, just ball watching, but I think that's a bit unfair. Marino's in between both him and Faz. I think I would put more on Faz there, but I do see what you're saying there. I don't think he was gonna. I can't be like completely one way, not the other. If Woyo was a combination pick between Glover and Ruud van Nistelrooy, that's a very good sign. I mean, the thing is, it does kind of show you as well. It's like there's value in the market, right? I mean, I would say in just the 60 minutes that he's played today, he's probably looked better than Skip has all season long. And that's not hating on Skip. It's the price tag, isn't it? If Skip was 5 million, you probably wouldn't have so much of a problem. But there you go. Anyone else want to talk about Woyo? Because he was good. I think he deserves some love. Yeah, go on, Luke. Yeah.
I've got a question for everyone. Probably I'm going to get an answer from Duck first. If JJ wasn't, after what you've seen today, and let us know in chat, if James Justin was not injured, would you start him and Woyo as your fullbacks instead of Victor Christensen? Woyo can use both feet.
That's difficult. That's difficult. I wouldn't complain if it happened, to be honest.
Definitely worth experimentation with that.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not saying that to antagonize you either, Doc. I am genuinely curious how it would work, because if Chris Jansen's not been able to link up the ball with Mavadidi, whoever's on the left-hand side, or what could Woyo do? It's another option.
But as well as an individual, there comes a line from brilliant movie from the 90s, Lock, Stock, Two Smoking Barrels, for those of you who haven't seen it. Brilliant film. Woyo Koulibaly, €3 million. It's a deal. It's a steal. It's a sale of the fucking century. Absolute bargain for that price. Woyo, right back, left back, bit of pace, bit of speed, bit of urgency, gets stuck in, wants it. If he loses it, chases back after it. I said he's going to be a bit of a cult figure, this guy. I just got I don't know, something I feel positive I like about him. I like this guy.
To be fair to Rude, I will say that actually is a good sign, though, that he signed a player that clearly does fit his system, and you could see immediately that he does fit the system and he can just slot in. Because if you think about it, we said at half-time that JJ had Raheem Sterling in his pockets. You're a bit fearful. Oh, Koulibaly, he's coming against one of the top teams, a Premier League winger who's past it, but has been one of the greats in I don't know about greats, but he's definitely won a lot of Premier Leagues, right? But he pocketed him as well. Trossard moved to the right. He was less good against him there, but still all right. He looks really quick. He definitely looks like the fastest player in the team, in my opinion. And I think that's important. And I think that is the key thing. But he did look like, again, I could see exactly him being a player. Like when he came up to support the attack in the wing, I think he looked quite threatening, and he had the pace to get back and he could bomb on. I do definitely agree with what Duck was saying. I think that if you're going to play this system, you need to have 4 fullbacks. You need to have 2 on the bench at all times. You might even need a 5th one in case one of them gets injured. So something to say. But let's just go to the rating. I think that was a very impressive performance. 7.3.
Fair enough. Could be a bit higher, but yeah, very good rating.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, look, let's not call him the second coming, not at all. But I do think that this is the thing with modern football and the kind of modern, the Moneyball strategies, that if you have a game model or a system that you want to play, if you sign the players that fit that system, it will get good. Right, of course, now it does depend, because, for example, Man United, they went for Ten Hag's system, and that system was crap. So even though they spent all this money, it didn't really work. I do still, I'm going to still say I don't like the system with the fullbacks. I would play a different way, but he looks like good business, I think. Let's see what's going to happen. Okay, I think there's going to be a lot of talking points for this one. So I've saved this one. I'm going to give this one to you, Luke. Steffi Mavadidi, obviously we're crying out for him sometimes to be starting the game, but he comes on. I mean, to be fair, there was a lot of things with him that were threatening, but there was also a moment that didn't work so well. So please talk to me about Steffi Mavadidi.
I might cop belters for this. So you just mentioned to me just before you asked me to speak, and you say you don't like this business of this fullbacks, and I'm right there with you. And we both are. We know how we feel about football and how we'd like it to be played. And I think that he's a bit of a victim of that, unfortunately. I think that says something about his overall game. At his best, though, systematic issue is what I think the problem is for Steffi Mavadidi. Is what I'm alluding to, is that he needs that high 8 next to him, pressing up alongside him. He does really, really well to take on his man and look threatening, as you alluded to and mentioned as well. But what comes after that, I think, is a bit of a system issue where I think he needs someone crowding outside the box, someone to take the half space. But what I really still find frustrating about him, and was even on display in the championship, is he can get the ball and beat his man. But what comes after that, he hesitates, he takes too long, plays himself into trouble, turns the ball over, and that's really frustrating about him. Sometimes he's just on one and he just shoots the first time straight away and he looks electric. Others, he bots out like that.
Luke, does the system stop him passing to Christensen? Which is a great question.
I reckon these guys have fallen out or something. Like, I don't know what it is, but like it's just too obvious now. We're saying the same thing every single time we see them link up together, and I think that's another problem with the system.
I have an idea to why I think it might be. I think it's something to do with the fact that the few times we did see him pass, that was when Mavadidi was a pretty comfortable starter, right? And his spot was safe. I think Mavadidi now recently, when he's been coming on, he seems very focused on, I need to show why I should be starting. So, it's not just Christensen anymore. I think it's way too often in general. He just doesn't go for the pass because he has this maybe urgency in himself saying, I know I can compete at this level. He expects himself to be able to. And he wants to take on this man. He wants to show everyone that he can cut it inside like he did against Chelsea and fire it in the right corner and pull off a really good move. And I think that's the urgency in his brain. Like, I need to show that I should be starting. I need to get this cut inside and a brilliant finish on top of it. Like, we know he can. And we saw in the championship. And that just leads to him feeling way too selfish recently, because I haven't just been thinking about it being Christensen. It's way too many people he don't pass to anymore because, – yeah, I think it's the will to try and redeem himself, right?
JC says he's heard VK pissed on him in the showers and Mav wasn't happy with it. I could believe it. That's probably true. Matty B made an interesting point. He goes, is it just a case of like heads down when he's got the ball, completely unaware of options? Now, I
Maybe a
did
bit
think
of
that.
Leicester.
I did think that to begin with, but I don't think it's true with Mavididi. He definitely sees Victor. I want
to change it a little bit. I think the difference from last year was because he was forced to play as purely on touchline.
Yeah.
Because we had 5 at midfield, and when we had 2 8s, 2 wingers, and the 2 DMs. So you're really staying out deep. And what would happen because you've got that left 8 that wants to run beyond him, to the touchline, he has multiple options. He can either try and find Dewsbury Hall, who's running in beyond, and Dewsbury Hall will drag a defender away with him to the run. He could go inside himself solo or pass backwards. There's 3 options. Currently, I think some people have mentioned it in the chat, he's on his own a lot. So he's trying to do a step over or a trick, and then he goes, oh, I don't fancy doing this. There's nobody making any distracting runs. There's nobody close to him. He's trying to do a solo. So because he's trying to do a solo, he ends up losing the ball because he's 2-on-1, 3-on-1, he's isolated. We lose the ball. Locke starts crying because Mavididi gave the ball away. Mavididi was on his own. He was on his own against multiple players most of the time. He's got nobody really close to him, nobody giving a stretching, distracting run. Now, I know there's finishing problems. There's lots of problems with Mavididi. But the alternative is worse. That's the whole point. The alternative is worse. And Mavididi does have that ability to step over, beat a man, do a trick, potentially put one in the top corner. Last season he was doing it reasonably regularly. Here's
one for you guys. I think that's a very good point. A lot of people have said that about the way that Christensen is making the overlapping run. But what if he made an underlapping run? It's like you can move your position, like Chelsea under Maresca, and just done it sometimes as well. You can have your fullback inverting into the number 8 position. So what if, when we were attacking, Mavididi still hugs the touchline and Victor moves into the 8 position, then he can still go outside. He can still cut inside. It would work the same way. It's a little bit more distance for Victor to cover going back, but not a crazy amount.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I think as a 180 player, look, he can see in front of him and you can see options in front of you. You can see Dewsbury Hall going that way. You can see a central option. But when Victor's running behind him, I don't think he always sees the reverse ball. He doesn't see the reverse ball. He doesn't see the outside ball. He's maybe not even looking that way. I don't know if his inclination is pre-programmed to not really look kind of behind and outside because the game's always in front of you. I don't know if maybe that's total rubbish. I have no idea. I'm just trying to speculate as to why there might be a difference, such a change from last season.
Well, at the end of the day, we've got to call it out. That first goal, he has a simple pass he could make to Victor Christensen. He doesn't. He dwells on the ball. We lose the ball, and we can see the goal in the same attack. It's not all exclusively on Mavididi, of course not, right? And if a player is going to lose the ball, losing it in the opposition box is the place because, at least you've got time to get back. But it's just super frustrating because the game was in the balance there, and it still felt like, I don't know about you, I was still hoping that we could sneak out a winner there. So real kind of annoying thing. And in the end, he's got given 4.6 probably for that, which is frustrating. And look, we all want Mavididi to do well, but he doesn't. The rest of them I'm going to go through pretty quickly because I didn't have much time to talk on it. But I mean, he's your favorite player, Patson Daka. Luke, do you want to say anything about Patson? I didn't really notice him, to be honest with you.
Nothing to say.
I genuinely didn't see him on the pitch. I can't remember him touching the ball.
Yeah, I mean, these guys, to be fair, they're only on for a few minutes.
Yeah, they can. I saw for Bonanza to have the ball.
Is Edouard injured? Is Edouard actually injured? He's just not in squads anymore?
No, he's training. You can see him in the training videos. He just seems like a lazy piece of shit. That's all I'll say.
Once upon a time, I said it about Sumare. We've got this guy sitting on the bench who might be able to do something. I don't know. It's time to take a risk and play him. I think we're at that stage with Edouard, to be honest. Vardy's he's getting quieter and quieter. After 60, 70 minutes, you can see he's running out of energy still. Daka, we keep talking about Daka. How many times have we tried Daka? 15 minutes, 20 minutes, the odd start. Nothing happens. Certainly not regularly. Edouard, it's a total wild card. I've got no idea. He could be even worse than those two, but I want to see 70, 80 minutes of him to find out for sure.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, look, I was going to bring up the rest of the fixtures here you can see for the rest of the month. So, look, I think Arsenal, we never really expected much. I do still feel disappointed of that game. We've definitely played much worse and we played quite well overall. But look, I think this is a comment. I'm going to bring this up again. I think this is totally fair from Aaron White. Going to put it here, lads. It's no coincidence that our goals have all but dried up since we've been starting Vardy, Ayew and Bobby de Cordova-Reid in the front line. I 100% agree. It's just a fact. I can't even argue with it. It's literally, you can see us there. And it's frustrating. That is surely not the way forward. I mean, if you do that, I just don't see us. Because again, look, it's been said we haven't scored a goal at home since the 8th of December. And at the moment, we neither have a defence that can get our results, only one clean sheet all season, and we don't have an attack that can score. And guess what? If you're not scoring goals and you're conceding them, there's only one place that you're going to end up. Let's maybe look forward. The next game is Brentford, also at home. Are we going to score against Brentford? Luke, what do you reckon? Because you're going to do the match preview.
You'll have to wait for the preview. Yeah, I will say yes. I do think that this is going to be the game where we break the drought. I do think we will score in this game. I think there's a lot we can build from this Arsenal game, but I find it really hard to get behind Ruud for everything he just mentioned of the front three. He really needs to change it up, at the very least, of the wingers, or at least one, because it's just not working. That the threat's not there on the break. I really want to see some pace up front.
Dark, obviously. Do you know who manages Brentford? It's a Danish manager.
I know a lot about Brentford. I watch pretty much every single Brentford game as well, right? It's I don't want to say my second team, but it's always, I want to see Brentford do well. It's 6-7 Danes, of course, right? I'm proud of my nationality and I'm proud of the players they have. They are currently absolutely destroying West Ham away, by the way. They should have been 3-0 up, 2 goals disallowed for offside. They have pace. They're dangerous. They are quick on the counter. And Mbeumo and Wissa are brilliant. Damsgaard is in his zone. It's going to be a tough game, but at home, I'll back us to at the very least put up a good fight. West Ham look shit, though. We can get something away at that. And with the current form Chelsea's in, we can get something there as well. They look shit, too. So hopefully we'll have a few shit-offs against those two teams and walk out with 6 points.
I can see us getting something from West Ham, but I think Brentford, the way that they play, I mean, he'll be like, I know, maybe having a Coley will make us better, but God, good luck to you guys doing the match preview, because if you look at the Brentford analysis from last time, that was a very embarrassing result. I know we had no manager,
a coach, right? Remember that was without a coach and Luke Thomas playing. I'm not going to appreciate Luke Thomas. I think he's had a few good games, to be honest.
2 individual matchups though: Visser against Fars and Mbeumo against VK.
Yeah, we all know who'll be pocketing who there. We're gonna be cooked. We're gonna be fucking cooked.
2 recipes for total disaster, aren't we? Those 2 big problem. I wonder what those 2 are. Quick, very quick.
You're almost quacking there, but sadly none of them are Danish.
Yeah, exactly. Well, look, I think that's it. I mean, I'll bring up any comments if anyone else wants to bring anything up. I mean, overall, then, how are you feeling after this? I'm guessing everyone still thinks we're going down. Is that right? What's your current thinking on things?
Nah, we'll stay up. Don't worry.
Still all to play for. Still all to play for. Obviously we've got to. You're natural. You've got to look at other results. But the Wolves.
I mean, look, just showing you these stats today. I mean, 10 shots only Arsenal had, right? So we kept the limit down. Admittedly, though, we had no big chances the whole game. That's the thing. We're going to have to score some goals. It's a very lopsided team.
Yeah, I've been talking about goals for ages. Wingers. We need wingers. If we want to score goals, we need different wingers. That's it. That's our best chance. There's no real changes we can make. It's not like we've got a goal-scoring midfielder on the bench that we can bring on who's going to maybe stick one in, or we could do a free kick or a set piece. We're not especially effective at attacking set pieces. Our reserve strikers are meh. The only gamble we've got is Buonanotte or Mavididi, and I can't see anything else apart from which would I'm seriously thinking Jeremy Monga sooner rather than later.
Yeah,
Matty Bean promises
start Evans.
Same old Gold.
Start all of the
Go on, Andreas. You're Mr. Positive. Yeah.
Nah, I genuinely think, right, we just need to get results on the board. I don't care how disgustingly bad we play or whatever. We just gotta scrape it over the line. I see passion in this team, and I see the fight I didn't see in the team that got relegated last time. We don't have the quality this time like we had last time. And the question is, will the passion then be enough? Who knows? Who knows? There is still all to play for. Remember, we're playing a title-chasing Arsenal at home. Even when we are good, I wouldn't be expecting us to win this game. And I think people need to remember that. Anything can happen, right? Anything can happen, and it's not over until the fat lady sings, and she certainly hasn't sung yet, right? So let's just watch the remaining weekend games. I know Ipswich has just gotten a red card. Pray for an Ipswich loss, play for a Wolves loss. And the one thing I will say, as long as we're just close to getting out of the bottom 3, with 4 or 5 games to go, that's when we get the easy fixtures back. Southampton at home, Ipswich at home. And then it's all about who's most in form at that point in time. So we need to keep up and make sure we are still in the race until then. And then anything can happen in the final month.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see how. Oh well, Marmoush has just scored a hat trick in 14 minutes. Turns out Man City are buying good players after all. I was to say, look, at the end of the day, for all their injuries, Arsenal brought a player off the bench that was £32 million, who was the difference maker. But look, it's looking tough. I think we looked a lot better today, but I think fair play. The thing is we normally play okay against the top 6 teams, but it's when we play the teams around us that we'll struggle pretty badly. We did okay again. Well, even Southampton were kind of lucky to get it, so I don't think we can kind of take it for granted. We may only need though 29 or 30 points to survive, so maybe we have a chance. But look, let's leave it there. Thank you so much for joining Blue Tinted Glasses. We'll be back tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. for Good Morning Foxes, where we'll talk about the game. I think we'll also talk a little bit about the protest as well and how that went. A lot of happy clapper emojis in chat that were started by our own Locks, of course, as well. But otherwise, thank you very much. Sadly, it's ended 2-0 to Arsenal. It was a close game, but we don't get anything from it. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time on Blue Tinted Glasses. Bye-bye.